Mhm. Welcome back to another Gianelli Family Fellowship. We're going to be in John 12. Again, I have been in John 12. I told you guys from the last time when I got the one scripture, and I ended up reading the whole chapter, and all these different things popped up at me that I just saw as being their own little uh, subject to talk about. Um, uh, Last time I talked about the fact that in the first part of the chapter where uh, the lady came with the ointment to anoint Jesus, and how he said, you know, the poor you're always going to have with you, but you're not going to always have me. And how I talked about how Jesus knew who he was. He wasn't ashamed of who he was. He owned who he was, and we should do the same thing. And so um, in verse 9 of chapter 12, it says, when the great crowd of the Jews learned that he was there, they came, not only on account of Jesus, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. So the chief priests planned to put Lazarus also to death, because on account of him, many of the Jews were going away and believing in Jesus. And when you, well, for me, when I read the scriptures, I read all these scriptures before, but then sometimes you come back and you read it again, and it's like, what? Well, you see something you didn't see before, or maybe something that you didn't pay attention to, and it just really popped out at me. Man, they were in their mind, they wanted to kill Lazarus because he was such a huge witness of the power and the authority that Jesus walked in. They wanted to kill him. They wanted to kill Lazarus so that he could no longer be that witness, that example, the evidence of the power and the authority that Jesus had. And reading this took me back to something that I noticed years ago when I read in Matthew chapter 28. If you go to Matthew chapter 28, verse 11, and this is not some major revelation or anything like that. This is just me going, wow, just it is mind blowing to me. Uh, but I think it's just a good God putting the example before us of what people will do, how they will allow themselves to be used by the devil. So in verse 11, it says, while they were going, no, wait, let me back up. Hold on. No, I wanted to read starting in verse 1. I wanted to read the whole context of this. So let's go to verse 1. Now, after the Sabbath, toward the dawn of the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone and sat upon it. His appearance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him, the guards trembled and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Jesus who was crucified. He's not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he's going before you to Galilee. There you will see him. Lo, I have told you. So they departed quickly from the tomb with fear and great joy and ran to tell his disciples. And behold, Jesus met them and said, Hail! And they came up and took hold of his feet and worshiped him. Then Jesus said to them, do not be afraid. Go and tell my brethren to go to Galilee, and there they will see me. While they were going, behold, some of the guard went into the city and told the chief priests all that had taken place. And when they had assembled with the elders and taken counsel, they gave a sum of money to the soldiers and said, tell people his disciples came by night and stole him away while we were asleep. And if this comes to the governor's ears, we will satisfy him and keep you out of trouble. So they took the money and did as they were directed. And this story has been spread among the Jews to this day. Now, the Gospel of Matthew was written about, it's, I think, 60, somewhere around 60 years after this happened. Okay. So they did not go and write the Gospels like right away. It took several years for, I guess, the Gospels to be compiled or for this written work to be done or whatever. So at the point that they were writing this, he's saying to this day, this story has gone out among the Jews. But the thing that really, really, really got me was, so there were guards there. Okay. There were guards at the gravesite. Now, it says, where does it say some of them? It said, so in 11, it said, some of the guard went into the city and told the chief priest. So in the garden, there were some guards there. Now, I don't know if all of the guards got slain, basically. They got knocked out. It says, for fear of the angel, they trembled and became like dead men. They were out. And I don't know if some other guard were there and saw what happened, or if all of the guards, got knocked out. I don't know. Okay. But there were guards that were eyewitnesses to this account that happened. And they go and they tell the priest. Okay. They go and they tell the chief priest what happened. Okay. Now, they have no reason to lie about this. They're going and informing the chief priest. They're not lying. They're giving an account of what happened. And the chief priests hear what they say and then decide, now listen, you're going to tell people that his followers came and stole his body. This is the story. Okay? And if it gets to the ears of the governor, don't worry, we got you covered. You won't get in trouble. But this is the story that you're going to tell. Okay? This baffles my mind. This in my mind would be like the Israelites seeing the parting of the Red Sea, and then they turn around and say that it didn't happen. It's like they saw the sea part, but somehow along the way it becomes something else, and not that the God miraculously parted the Red Sea. I mean, a man rose from the dead like he said he would. You would think that this would be the moment that the chief priest would be like, wait a minute now, maybe we need to reconsider how much we hated this man. You understand? Can y'all understand what I'm saying? You would think that this would be the moment that they would be like, we need to rethink where we're at here, because this man just raised from the dead. These guards don't have a reason to lie to us. This man just was raised from the dead, an angel of God. And they were familiar with angels because an angel spoke to Abram. They had to have the story. So this was evidence on top of evidence that this man was who he said he was. And instead of them repenting, instead of them turning, they hide it. They want to hide it. They want to cover it up. And to squelch the movement. So that they wanted to kill Lazarus because Lazarus, was raised from the dead. It was, again, Lazarus was raised from the dead by this man. And the same man that raised Lazarus from the dead, raised from the dead himself. And they still refuse to believe. Like, what kind of a heart do you have to be that way? And whatever that is, I don't want it. I don't want to be so full of pride that I cannot acknowledge the power of God. I don't want that in my life, and that to me was just, like I said, this is no huge revelation or anything like that. And of course, the encouragement for me, the message for me is, Lord, I don't want to deny you. I don't care how long I've been believing something. I believe in it one way. They were so convinced that they were right. These people thought Jesus was going to come back as a king, as an earthly king like David or something, and was going to come in and through war, it's reestablish Israel to its greatness. This is what they were looking for. And they were so caught up in that they couldn't see Jesus, who he was. Even with all of the miracles, even with everything that he did, they still would not acknowledge him. And to the point of, even with eyewitnesses, they wouldn't believe it, or they wouldn't receive it, and they wanted to cover it up and tell a lie to the people, thus keeping the people from being able to receive Jesus themselves. These priests had authority in the town. Imagine the number of people that would have come to Jesus had they all turned and said, we were wrong. We now know. I mean, this is irrefutable. Everything he said he was going to do, he did it. He is indeed Lord, Master, and Savior. But they wouldn't do it. Yeah, it's scary, and it completely baffles my mind. And I just say, God, I don't want that to be me. God, I do not want to be so caught up in my own self and my beliefs and whatever I'm thinking and holding on to, that if you're trying to tell me something different, if you're trying to show me, and it's right before my eyes and I still don't want to see it, I don't want to be that. No. But there's a video that I came across that blessed me so much, and I will link it in the description box for those of you that watch. But to me, it's a video of a woman who has an encounter with Jesus, and this is without any other help. This is without any other help. This as a teenager, she has a supernatural encounter with Jesus. She is a Muslim girl, that has a supernatural encounter with Jesus and changed her life. And so it's like, for me, this is like God is saying, he was probably laughing at them guys. He was laughing at them guys, sitting up there spreading his lie, even with the truth in their face. Because he's like, I don't even need your witness. I don't even need your witness, because I can talk to people myself. I'll do what I want to do. And that this video kind of, it shows that. And it's just such a blessing. I get blessed all the time when I hear people's testimonies of coming to the Lord, especially out of places where it was God that did it. Thank you for watching.